Hello, Internet. It's Paul, it's Matt, the Dork Lords. We are here talking about the Westworld Season 2 finale, The Passenger.
Yes.
90 minutes long.
Yeah.
Basically a little movie. Big
Yes,
movie.
It was, yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, somebody remarked that it's 2 minutes longer than the movie in which it's based.
Oh,
So.
good call. So if you start with 19 hours of footage and then have the movie, which is actually even longer than the movie, this is what you get to.
That's right.
Okay, so there were a lot of revelations in this. There are also still a whole ton of questions.
Whole ton.
There was a lot to like about this. It wasn't perfect
No.
for me. What are your, just before we leap into this, the web that is this episode, general thoughts?
I wish they had taken more time. I would have, it would have been frustrating. I guess either postponing the beginning of the season a couple of weeks so they could take more time on the script, or having this little break where, okay, well, sorry, here's the last episode, you got to wait a couple of weeks. I would have been frustrated, but I think it would have been better if they'd taken more time on that script.
Okay. I mean, waiting, obviously, they'd already waited 18 months to start season.
Right,
season.
exactly. So just wait that much longer. Wait that much longer to get it right.
So you feel like this script for this episode suffered?
Yeah.
Okay. Was there a particular moment in
A
particular
number
that
of
suffered,
parts
or?
where it's like, the first meeting between William and Dolores, where it's like, so why don't you just follow me? Okay, we'll just go this way. It's like, oh, really? That's how you're going to describe it? And then, then a couple of, minutes later, at least as far as the screen time anyway, now I'm going to shoot you. Now our objectives don't align.
We could jump to that moment, yeah, because you're right. There's the bit where we had left off with William contemplating whether he's a robot or not. And so he's digging into his arm to find a port, we think. Does not find it. But while he's injuring himself, mutilating himself, she shows up, finds him. Says she saw Emily a while back. Oh, yep, I saw your dead daughter. And I should kill you, but I need a monster. That's what she says.
Yeah.
Because she got rid of Teddy, right? So Teddy was her monster before. And then he killed himself, but whatever.
She's a monster.
But right. So the point is, does she? She doesn't need a monster because
no, she's a monster.
They accompany each other. William says, "Oh well, I guess as long as our objectives align."
Yeah.
We'll
yeah,
be fine."
and the minute nothing happens that she needs him for.
Right. That's my point. It's
That-
I
nothing-
need a monster. Does she?
No,
Not
no, she
really.
doesn't. Nope.
She didn't really need
Not
him
at all.
But it's kind of like, we want them together. It was a kind of convenience.
Yep.
So they stay together for, as you say, 5 minutes or less.
Yeah.
And then they find the shaft that leads down to the valley beyond, and William's like, nothing can stand in my way now. And so that was a little contrived. They wanted to put them together, but you would think like that thing of like, all right, we're together until our objectives aren't the same. That sounds like a thing where then at the end of the episode, after you've kind of forgotten that they're basically enemy of my enemy kind of thing, that there'd be a moment where they would face off. But instead they were like, and then we face off. It did feel like a weird narrative beat that came that fast.
And I just felt, you were saying before we started that there were a number of times when the exposition felt clunky. It's just sort of like, okay, this is, and for me, it was like, sort of like you could see it as a relief, and they've done it at other points in the series too, where it's like, here is exactly what's happening. And so it's like practically looking at the camera and telling you exactly what's going on. But I felt that stuff could have been better written. So that's all. I felt like
there were some moments that
more work on that episode. It was a lot to it though, so maybe that was the challenge of it, and that there was trying to do so much at the end of the series, which it's hard to figure out another way to do that. So.
Right, yeah. I don't know that I would necessarily have a better way to do these things, but I do feel like there were moments in this episode where the payoff on paper looked cool, but then just the way it was shot, or maybe the way that It was the exposition happened. It felt less satisfying as I was witnessing it. I wasn't bored, but I was like underwhelmed at times when I thought I should be whelmed. Whelm me. All right. So we're gonna miss something. So please, if things we miss, please talk about them in the comments, and we'll happily talk about them with you. But generally speaking, we've got Dolores. She, of course, when we last saw her, Teddy had shot himself. Episodes 8 and 9, best episodes, in my opinion, of the season. So you're coming in episode 10 like, whoa! I don't think this lived up to 8 and 9. I'll put it that way. But so Teddy's just offed himself. She like goes to sleep spooning him, basically. Kind of like you were my monster. Okay, anyway. So she then also takes his brain capsule, his orb. Yes. And we see, you noted this, I didn't catch this when I first watched it, but makes complete sense. The bullet that he shot himself with was like mashed up against his control unit. So that's what she takes out, and then she uses that to trap William's gun. Yeah. So that, of course, I would have trapped the first bullet, maybe not let him shoot at you 5 times before he figures out, I should shoot you in the head. All right. And then boom, and it blows his hand off. Shoot her in the head. I don't know. He of all people should know that, but I don't know. It's kind of like the Thor in Infinity War. You should have cut my head off. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so she meets up with William, who thought about committing suicide but didn't after killing his daughter. We can talk about whether it's his real daughter. I'm in the camp that was his real daughter.
It makes sense what you're saying.
That he killed her, and that at this moment in time, somehow, despite all the injuries he's had, that actually is a human version of William that's having it out with Dolores in this moment that shoots his hand off. So they meet up with Bernard, and everybody's headed to the valley.
Everybody's there. Everybody's headed there.
The vanishing point, the convergence.
Yes. The passenger.
And the passenger. Well, we can talk about that. Passenger is reference to human beings.
Yes.
Ford mentions
they're not in control. They're merely a passenger.
Right. It's actually. I mean, no one thought this show was like a happy after-school special show, but man, that is a bleak, cynical. It's like there is no free will. Humans only think they have a choice, but they can't change.
Well, that's a philosophical idea too. That there's no free will.
Right. Oh yeah. But they're on the side of we don't have it.
Yeah. Right.
And in fact, the hosts are better evolutionarily speaking because they can change. Yeah. We have the I changed my mind moment, for instance. All right. Anyway.
Yeah. Like what? I mean, what is it? The first season, Maeve, like, I want to get my freedom now. But, my daughter, I guess you could say that that's how she changed her mind. But really, I would argue more that she's more tied to her daughter, as tied as any human being would be. She knows it's not her real daughter, at least in any real sense, but know that she values that. I think you can look at any of the characters. I mean, basically, I'm sorry, this like kind of
stream of consciousness here.
Kind of like an abstract criticism of a lot of shows, where it's like, here's this character who's not supposed to be human. They're not like human. The only thing that we've ever known is humans. So it's like, what way is this character not human? It's like, they're killing people like humans are. They end up with their families. Anyway, sorry.
They seem to hold grudges like humans.
Yeah.
So they get to the valley with the forge. And what we find is that the forge has 2 purposes. There's the main purpose of the forge, the one that we talked about in previous episodes, which is it holds the guests' data. Now, one of the numbers that was surprising to me was they're like, 4 million.
Yes.
I was like, whoa.
I think it was 3 million.
Okay, you're saying 3. I thought it was 4, but whatever. We'll
millions.
We'll start in the million. Yeah,
millions.
Millions of people have spent the tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars required to get to the park to be audited, basically, to be put into the forge. Like, wow. I wouldn't have thought the number was that high, but 30 years, I guess. So sure. Anyway, there's 4 million people, 3 million, 3.5 million in the forge, and they access the forge kind of through virtual reality, much like in the Cradle before it blew up, when Bernard accessed it with the little helmet, boop, and then he was inside this virtual version of Westworld.
Yeah.
Here the technology is a little different, a little better.
Yeah.
They just stand in the little light
halo there.
Halo, and they're in.
Yeah.
So here they go. They end up talking to the forge itself, which has put itself into the identity or the form of Logan. I guess Logan, he died roughly around that same time. So kind of like Logan about the time he died.
Right. And I can't resist complaining yet again, or at least it's like kind of irritating how this like our metaphorical understanding of how technology and programming works, where it's like, here is the one important element, the one event from his life that defines his whole character. Oh, humans, so simple. They can be, described by the one line or 23 lines of code or whatever it was. And it's just like,
Logan's, the AI in the form of Logan basically says, hey, I tried 18 million different variations on Daddy Delos, the Delos Senior, I guess they did like a pre-simulation before they started making the real versions of him that were corrupting, that we see when William does the fidelity test with him. So before that happened, they had 18 million different versions of Delos that all kind of led up to this one moment in time, and then it broke down or had some issue.
Right.
And the AI realized, the problem wasn't that humans are so complex.
Actually, this is where you were right.
Oh, yeah? In what way?
Because one of the things he said is like, you wanted all the information we got in the park. We needed information from them outside their lives. We need more information. So you had said before, like, what kind of picture are you getting these people?
Yeah, right. Yes, right. You're getting only the picture of, like, I'm role-playing and I get to go shoot a guy if I want. He simplifies it and finally comes up with a version of Delos that will respond to the fidelity test the right way.
Apparently.
But then it starts breaking down anyway when it goes into the real world. So that's what I got out of it.
Really? Because I didn't get that.
Okay. I thought that's like, in other words, the AI's part of the testing was to try to get a version that said the right things.
Oh, I agree.
And so, but I think the
because I feel like part of the story was, but it would still break down. And it's like, then I figured it out.
Oh, okay.
Look at all these books now I've got. That's my impression. Like,
okay.
That wasn't working in the last one. Put it into a body, it didn't work.
Okay.
So my impression was that he figured it out.
Okay.
Otherwise, I feel like it's pointless. Like, we can't figure these people out and put it into people, but at least we got all these books. I mean, it's like,
so you're right though. It's, whittling it all down to like a 5-minute period of time in anybody's life does seem a bit convenient for movie or TV purposes, where it's like, you're defined by this thing.
Yeah.
What if I had two really defined? No!
Yeah.
Pick one! Well, there was that time that was really important. No! This is what's important. Anyway, so the important moment that is the cornerstone for Delos is Logan comes to his house, unannounced, obviously, hanging out by the pool.
Right, because he forbid him to be around and get money or whatever.
He's like, if you want money, cut to the chase. Logan's like, I'm at the bottom now, and he's like, go get clean when you come back. And he's like, well, I did that. And you told me it wouldn't last. It's like, well, I was right, wasn't I? And so...
Yeah, and that was interesting there. And that was, I thought, was well written, because it was sort of like, those are things that he said, I think in that moment, but they weren't playing it strictly as if it was actually happening, because it's really a simulation. So he probably were yelling at each other or whatever, and ultimately ended up with him leaving and then overdosing. But they could talk about the experience in a way that I thought it was well written.
I did too. I like that scene a lot. And yeah, so we see this moment where Logan is crying out for help. I need help. And he's not saying, just give me cash. I mean, maybe ultimately that's what he wanted. But you get this feeling like, I'm desperate. I need the help of my family. And Delos turned his back. And then within 6 months, Logan committed suicide. And so obviously Delos feels guilt for that. Like, I should have turned around and said, okay, what can I do? And in fact, I'm pretty sure he says that I'm all the way down.
Yeah.
The Delos we know, when Delos has the marks all over his face episodes ago, when he's like crazy Delos, I think he repeats that line. So they're referring back to this moment in time that it was important to him. All right, anyway. So we also see, though, these versions of Delos in the AI world, the simulation versions of him, as they were like tweaking him. And they're basically like, just do a little and you make people insane. It's like, insane.
Yeah, that was the thing they established. Like, the normal window for sanity amongst humans is so small, just very little bit, and then boom, they're crazy.
And they're crazy. So I just say he lined up all the.
Oh, that's good to know.
He lined up all the hosts on the street, and then was just shooting them randomly for perceived slights.
Yeah,
basically. So that didn't go well for anybody really. So then the AI reveals. As you say, they got the book. So everybody in virtual space has here's the book of so-and-so. So one of the books that Dolores clearly picks up is Strand's book. So the leader of Delos. She's flipping through it. She said, I didn't read all of these, but I got enough. So who knows? But at least one of them was the big guy who gets whacked, actually, but whatever. But the big reveal in this moment, other than, we're in the Forge, is, Bernard, by the way, you've come here many times.
Yeah.
And you helped set up this alternate heaven, Eden, basically, for the hosts. So, if we just run this little program, we can start... Basically, a rift comes up and only hosts can see it. And it's like, that's the door. Go head for it. If you go through the door, your body dies, but your consciousness, host consciousness, goes into this,
Yeah, I'm not exactly clear why necessarily they would have been left alone at that point. I mean, I guess if you could have it exist on those computers without, it being known, I guess.
Right. So that's part of what they're beaming the code away.
Right.
And so the idea was they were going to beam the code to like Delos' computers, but instead she kind of she being Dolores retasks the satellite or I don't know anyway. Supposedly she sent the information to a safe location. Maybe that's a bunch of servers at Arnold's house. I don't know what that is, but it can't be completely safe, right? You could always put them in danger again.
Of course.
There could always be a scene in season 3 where they're like, heaven's in danger. We have to save heaven. So anyway, the door opens. Now, it's a door that only hosts can see.
Yeah.
Assuming William was a human, and the whole... I know you're like... You and I differ on the importance of William in the story, but for me, William, this whole thing of Ford saying, I have a new game for you. It's the door.
Yes, I don't think that. I think it's sort of like, because at least, it's possible that maybe that at some point they wanted it to mean something, or it's still yet to mean something. The fact that William...
You would think they'd pay that off in this season.
I wouldn't. Okay. Well, if it meant something.
I'm just saying it was.
But of course, if it didn't mean anything,
there was no payoff in terms of the door.
It's like,
as far as I can tell.
It may have merely been, hey, just to get this guy, busy or whatever.
And that's okay. I mean, we're jumping around here a bit, but let me jump to that. So, what frustrated me most And I'm assuming people saw the after credit scene. If you didn't, there was an after credit scene.
Yeah,
by the way,
go watch it.
It involved William. But okay, so we've got this moment there. Dolores and Bernard are in the forge. She's trying to destroy it. Bernard is making a decision to kill her. Basically, like, no, you're going to destroy the Eden that the hosts have created. I don't want you to do that. Boom. Okay. Which is kind of the first time he kind of takes agency, I think.
Sure.
And, like, shoot someone. Anyway, so...
Good for you.
Yay, murderer. But meanwhile, William is in the elevator coming down, and he's loading his gun with his one hand because his one hand's blown off. So he's like... He loads his gun. Elevator's coming down. We cut away. Next time we hear about him is, like, I don't know, 20 minutes later. We've got there's an important person we've rescued, and we see William on the beach, alive, theoretically, I guess, and they're tending to his wounds. Then we see this cutscene, which I think I saw that the showrunner said verified is in the distant future. So it's not like happening in the present, where a version of William with his hand off is in a destroyed-looking version of the Forge, and he sees his daughter Emily. He kind of starts to say, "Oh, am I in the thing?" And she's like, "Nope, this is the real world. You're in the real world. We're doing a fidelity test on you, Robot William." And so to me, it's like what seemed to me to be one of the major points of the season was this game that Ford had for William to find the door. In fact, as late as episode 9, the last episode, we had this backstory for William. We filled in a lot of gaps. We were moving towards this idea. He's like, I got to get to the Forge because I want to destroy this place, but I also want to, what did he say? Change the verdict.
No. Okay.
Like, this place has decided I'm a horrible person.
No.
You know, my characteristics, I'm the 0.0072% horrible person, and I'm going to prove them wrong. I think is kind of where I got out of it.
Okay.
Especially because that was what
he was doing.
Yeah, that he was going to show somehow that he was a better person than the verdict was on him from the park. That's what I got out of that.
Okay.
Especially because that's the verdict. Like, seeing that verdict is what drove his wife to suicide. Right? She sees the thing and is like, "Oh my God, he is horrible. All right, I'm out. I don't know." Anyway, I'm just saying that seemed to me to be the arc of this season, and so
one of the arcs.
Right. It's true. He was one arc, but in my opinion, a major arc. So he gets to the elevator. We have now reached the moment when we're going to see the resolution of this arc. And instead, it's like they just snipped that footage out. And then they just have him lying on the beach after. I'm like, no, wait. The whole point in his 10 episodes was this moment in time that you have not shown us. That seemed frustrating to me. Okay. All right. Anyway, all right. That was my little rant on that. Okay. So, all right. Back to they find out that Bernard had this whole plan all along. Maybe it was Arnold. It was Bernard. It was probably Bernard. I think Bernard had the idea of the hosts giving them this Eden that was free from other folks. Now, Dolores is obviously like, "What? It's just another gilded cage. It's not real. I want the reality that, the thing that is irreplaceable, which is reality, and not some replaceable new environment." So in that way, we were talking Matrix stuff.
Yeah,
it is kind of a Matrix feel to that of like, you take the blue pill, you take the red pill.
Right.
He's offering them the blue pill. She's like, "Give me the red." Bernard kills Dolores so that she can't keep the host from taking the blue pill.
Right.
Meanwhile, we've got Akichida is leading the hosts to the door. Look, the promised land. and we have Maeve and her group trying to catch up to them.
Yeah.
Or she's trying to get to her daughter, basically. But
Yeah.
same idea.
Yeah.
And so on the way, they're pursued by the ranks and ranks of incompetent security guards.
Yes.
God bless those guys. Whew! So outmatched. Just so outmatched all the time. Oh, I should say before. Okay, let's back up Maeve a little bit because Maeve was on the table.
Oh yeah.
And about to be deactivated.
Sure.
And in fact, he had to make the human seem like a dick. So he's like, before I kill you, I'll up your pain receptors so you'll feel it worse. Just to be a jerk. But before he can finish his devious plan,
yes,
she mind controls the deactivated hosts to activate.
Yeah.
And take him out with his own blades.
There you go.
And then there's the scene that they showed us in a trailer long ago, which was the bulls, where the running of the bulls, basically.
Oh yeah.
So she Jedi mind tricks the bull hosts, and they go and kill all of the incompetent guards.
Yep.
And that's how they get out. So they're now on their way to Hector, and the Techies and Sizemore and Armistice are all headed out to go get to her daughter, and they're pursued. So they're kind of, I'll say, trapped, although not really. Like there's one of those jalopy dune buggy things, but it's not in their way. Like it's not between them and their destination. It's trailing them. Okay.
Oh.
So they're stopped. And they're, oh my God, we're pinned down. We'll never make it. And so Hector is like, I'm going to go sacrifice myself. And Sizemore takes this moment to do the heroic thing. Because he's like, I wrote your code. You, Hector, are basically me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do the heroic thing and buy you guys some time. And he gives the lines, and he goes out in a blaze of glory, basically. Yeah. Okay, which is fine. I
think that would have benefited from some more passes there at the script.
It didn't feel like it was. He gave them basically like 20 seconds. And there were other ways that he could have accomplished that same 20 seconds without killing himself.
Yeah.
That's what they should have made it, a much more desperate situation, or a seemingly desperate on screen, that then he helps them out. As it was like, we're just going to keep riding. All right. And as he steps out, the dune buggy guys are like, oh, hi. We know it's you. We don't want to hurt you. Just put the gun down. Yeah. He's like, no, I'm going to keep talking my dialogue I wrote. Again, they're like, just to warn you, we don't want to shoot you. We know you're a human. It's fine. And so he's already buying them time.
Yeah.
And yet, because he needs to go out in a blaze of glory, he shoots at him. But it just, he didn't buy anything extra by dying. It didn't seem like to me. Now, maybe if he was suicidal with grief, racked with guilt at what he did to Maeve, maybe.
Right.
But I didn't get that from him.
Right.
So it just seemed like a kind of a pointless death, really.
Okay.
But you didn't.
No, I mean I don't. I think it's possible if he was shooting, but he could have. Why he needed to sacrifice his body in order to do that? To stay behind the thing and still shoot people. So the whole, I'm walking out to valiantly, which is I guess, what's the name of the guy he's replacing?
The guy he's replacing. Oh, Hector.
Hector, presumably, he goes out, like, I'm shooting you guys, and can jump around and do all sorts of special tricks maybe to stay alive and still keep shooting at them. But not him. He's just standing there, shooting and getting...
He was basically shooting at the car.
Yeah.
Is what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's putting dings on the dune buggy.
So...
it wasn't as effective as it might have been. I think they missed the emotional beat on that one.
Yeah.
But he gives them the 20 seconds they need to get ahead, I guess, before the dune buggy takes off again, and car versus horse, probably car wins. Anyway, but they reach the group of people.
Anti-horse.
And they see Clementine riding on the white horse. Charlotte's like, release. Oh, we don't need 4 horsemen. We just need our 1 horseman on horsewoman on the pale rider. Basically,
Yes.
Go get him, pale rider. So horsewoman of the apocalypse comes down, starts doing them virus where the hosts start attacking each other. Maeve doesn't use her powers for a long time. It's like run.
Oh yeah.
Just try. Can you? No? Okay. I mean, you just did it back in the lab. You were controlling bulls and people.
Yes.
In fact, you could probably control her horse. I don't know. Whatever. There's things you could try. She doesn't. Instead, all the hosts are killing each other.
Yeah, I wonder if it's possible that she knew somehow. Oh, wait a minute. She did know, though. She was in the thing, so she saw what they were doing.
She did see what they were doing.
So she knew what that woman's capable of.
Okay, you're saying that maybe she just nothing I can do.
Yeah.
All right. So...
Because it's like, one thing we saw was her come down and then eventually somebody shot her.
Yeah.
And that didn't really change anything. Probably because, it's part of the I'm making everybody fight is I'm infecting them, so even after I get shot in the head, it's too late. The information to attack each other is already going on.
They kill Clementine, but not before she's infected enough people nearby that they start spreading this thing.
And, the way that, she eventually goes out is she can only keep them still for a little bit until they eventually, she gets killed so much, shot so much that she...
Maeve does a stasis to try to save her daughter, basically give her daughter time to get into the door.
Yeah.
And then is shot by the incompetent security guards.
Yeah. I wonder who they were really trying to shoot.
You're right, exactly. One of the things that kind of annoyed me too, though, was like how casual all of the hosts were at walking to heaven. Like they're in a line, they're very orderly, and it's obvious what they're going to.
Well,
at this point, you see other hosts inside the field, like, whoa, this is great. And like if that was me.
You don't want to get disqualified, though, going into heaven. Like, oh, look at these guys really trying to get
you have to play it cool like you've been there before.
Yeah.
Oh, it's heaven.
Yeah.
But, like, I would at least jog. I don't know. Like, they're walking so slowly. I mean, here's me if I'm like, oh, my God, look, down in the valley, there's someone who's making us all kill each other. We should probably run into Eden if we want to survive. And instead, there's us... Like, hey guys, there's a story. This reminds me of a story. Let's all gather around. Anybody make some stew? I'm gonna have some lunch while we wait. I'm like, just go. Anyway, but it was effective. I enjoyed the imagery of they walk through this portal and then their body just immediately dies, but their consciousness is uploaded into this Eden type framework, and now they're in this field. And so that's where the bodies all came from. Remember earlier in the season when we're like, oh, a third of the bodies we found are completely wiped. It's because their consciousness had been taken into this construct.
There you go.
So they're just like husks, basically.
Yeah.
So everybody goes to Eden. I'm not sure how Akichita's wife got in there, but maybe Ford had it ready. I don't know.
Yeah.
Somehow she was there. Her body didn't pass through, but whatever.
No.
We do see. I believe it was Dolores that took Teddy's consciousness, his little marble, and uploaded it to Eden so he could be there. Which makes me think that maybe Teddy is not one of the marbles she escapes the park with.
Yeah, it's not the right color.
Because I think she says something like, "We left a lot of good people behind," or something.
Yeah.
Like that. And then that's a shot of Teddy in the field. So maybe. That's it.
Yeah, but didn't we see we saw those were the dark kind?
Yes, they were dark.
So Teddy's is light, unless he's the copy of him in the in the forge or the cradle.
So we've got at this point Akichita gets shot right as he's stepping into the door, and you're like, oh my God, is he gonna die? But is he going to be the guy who got everybody else in there but didn't get there himself? But no, he stumbles in and he's like, not hurt. Yay!
Yeah.
And so he's fine. Maeve does die, but her daughter is saved.
Yeah.
She dies in the act of saving her daughter. Pretty much all of her, Hector and Armistice are dead as well.
Yeah.
Although, again, at the end here, we've got the techies. We got Felix and Sylvester, who didn't get to do much related to this
No.
episode.
No.
But they're given the task. You guys, hey jerks, you think you can salvage some stuff? Put what together you can. And they're looking at Maeve like, okay. So that's a little annoying too, is that it's like a reset. Like, there's no real death, particularly in the show. Ish, right? It's like,
Well, for the host.
they died. Not really. Maeve
Right.
will be back, and Hector and Armistice.
You wanted them to be dead?
Well, I'm just saying, if she's sacrificing herself for her daughter,
Right.
it means more if it was a real sacrifice and not, oh, well, I'm just temporarily offline.
Right.
All right, I'm back now. Good. Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah.
All right. But
We'll see what next season's about. I mean, I feel as if, you could argue that it's an interesting choice, the fact that some of the characters are out now in the real world, and how much of their plan is going to be based on the park. And the people who are still in the park, is it like we must escape again? What is going on?
right. So let's save it just for a second on our season 3 theories. But yes.
I don't know.
Okay. All right.
I don't know that I have any theories at all.
You just talked about it. All right. Well, okay. Anyway, so
They're still in the park.
okay, gotcha.
So
Right.
I don't know how much
But
longer
there's park
they're.
and
I don't
outside
have
the park.
any. Yeah, that's
what
all
I'm
I'm saying.
So we've got Bernard decides to kill Dolores. We mentioned that.
Yeah.
To save the hosts.
Yeah.
He then witnesses Charlotte kill Elise. Right? Yeah. Basically saying like, oh, I read your profile and I need people that are morally flexible.
Yeah.
You ain't that.
No.
Bump, 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 bump.
Yeah.
Kills her.
Yeah.
So that at that point, Bernard is wishing he still had Ford in his head.
Yes.
Like, damn it! Why did I delete you?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he ends up, as we find out, he conjures an image of Ford. It's not actually Ford. He's just like, it's like his invisible friend
Yes.
that he's brought back to help him get through the situation.
Yeah.
Which is, I feel like it's a level of creativity and imagination that perhaps a standard robot wouldn't have. It's like a level of consciousness that perhaps he's achieved that maybe. Anyway, just watching this horrible thing happen. Anyway, okay, so whatever the reason, he manages to conjure Ford, and with the help of his imaginary friend, he has a plan, which the plan is he's going to construct a Charlotte, and then he's going to put Dolores' brain into Charlotte.
Yeah.
Which he does, and then Dolores, in the form of Charlotte, kills human Charlotte.
Yes.
And so
Are you satisfied with that?
I was all right with that.
Yeah, me too.
I guess it involves sleeving bodies, much like altered carbon, which again must be the ultimate dystopian future of the show.
It must be.
But so that also means that in one of the time frames we've been watching all season, the one that's like 2 weeks after the retirement party, that is Dolores pretending to be Charlotte.
Yeah.
Which is why there were a few times during the season where I mentioned, I think I was like, Charlotte knows that Bernard's a robot.
Yeah.
She does, and it just felt that way from the script. And so, yes, she did, because she was Dolores at the time.
She was a robot herself.
Yes, she was a robot herself. So that's his plan. His plan is to have Dolores inside Charlotte, and then also, in this moment of truth, he brings all of the Strand and his incompetent security guards into the forge, and then he's like, they're about to extract the info they want to extract.
Yeah.
And Bernard's like apologizing. It's like, oh, he's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, I killed them all. And he's like, what do you mean? You already told me that. He's like, no, I mean you. Like, you is who I'm talking about. What? What are you talking about? Huh? Yeah, that's a robot. So Dolores kills all the folks. And then she says, something like, Ford was right. We could never live on our own. We can't escape in our bodies. And so to help Bernard escape, she shoots him.
Yeah, boom.
So that his body's dead.
Right.
And she takes his brain. And we know from the rest of the episode that one of the little marbles she took out, stole away from it with, was Bernard, because she reconstitutes him outside the park. So as Charlotte is attempting to escape, she has a confrontation with Stubbs.
Yeah.
She's that close to getting off the island. And Stubbs goes and talks to her. Now, did you get from that Stubbs is a robot?
I did not feel it was clear whether or not he was. He did make a little joke, about his base or whatever. His core
directives.
Yeah.
He also says that Ford was the first person Ford hired or something like that. Which, anyway, just was. He sounded a lot like a host.
Right.
I'll say that. But is it 100% that he's a host? No. I think he could just be a very understanding human who's decided, who can somehow pick out that Charlotte is a robot.
Right.
But has decided to let her go. He's like, look, my duty is to the robots, the hosts that are inside the park.
Sure.
Which means if you're outside the park, I don't have to worry about you.
Yeah, we don't even know if there are. Or
I'll say this, in the moment, I thought that Stubbs was a host. But as further recollection, I was like, he could just be cleverly wording stuff.
A host lover.
Yeah. I mean, it would be pretty stupid to have a host policing the hosts. I mean, if that actually was Ford's idea, it's like, well, these hosts could get out of control. You know what I need to guard them? A host. Like, not sure that would be the best use of a host. Anyway, but okay, so I would say I'm 60-40 that he is a host, is my thought. I like slightly more on the side of he is versus he isn't. But you can let us know what you think. Is he a host? Is Stubbs a host or not?
Good, yeah.
So one way or the other, he lets Dolores/Charlotte escape. She goes back to the mansion that Arnold was creating. I say mansion, house, cool looking house.
Sure.
It has Ford, or I guess Ford's probably the one who had it set up with the mechanics necessary to build bodies. Somebody did.
I thought it was
it Arnold?
Yeah, I thought Arnold was, because remember it was like, I'm gonna have this house with my family,
right?
And then it's like, now they're dead or whatever. But I think they're set up.
He was setting up the possibility that this would be the host.
Yeah,
slab.
and we still don't know to what extent their plan is something that Arnold or Ford came up with. I mean, Ford makes it seem like, I just wanted you to have the sort of option, the choice after you killed us or whatever. But many times it seemed like they kept saying, "Where you," even though they meant Bernard. It becomes a question whether or not, where did you want us to be? Where did you want us to be? And it makes me wonder if it really isn't Arnold that they're talking about.
Okay, I hear that. But so she, being Dolores, builds a new Bernard body.
Right.
And then does the fidelity tests. And she says she's done it 11,000 times. Now, you made the point that that's probably counting the times that she was testing him back on the island.
Yeah.
Because if she was just testing the new body 11,000 times, you would think, like, how many years have passed? Are you waiting to mount your revolution until Bernard's okay, and then it took you 20 years to get this online? But she finally feels satisfied that Bernard is Bernard, or because she mentions too, like, this isn't you. This isn't actually Arnold. Like, this is just my recollection.
Yeah.
And I made a better version that is more stable. The stories of you. Anyway, so and she also refreshes that line, no one's dead as long as somebody remembers.
Right.
Which in this universe is very true, because if people can be built based on memories of that person.
Oh, yeah.
So as long as there's somebody that remembers you.
Yeah, it's interesting. I guess.
So it'd just be weird if, like, somebody had one memory of somebody. I remember that time we went to the fair and you got sick eating that giant hot dog. Anyway, I'm going to build a robot about that.
Yeah.
You're like
a nice hot dog for a head.
Yeah, right. And you get sick all the time. That's all I know. And it's you, as far as I know. You hate Ferris wheels. Okay. So Dolores builds Bernard. She explains her plan. She does the villain plan thing, the exposition.
Yeah.
And Bernard's like, I can't let you do that. And she says, yep, I know. I'm just giving you the choice. If I was a human, I'd take you out right now. But I'm not. I'm a robot. So I'm going to let you live so you can kill me.
So we can kill each other later.
Yeah, we're going to kill each other later, but it'll probably be good for robots somehow in the meantime. So, adios, white hat. I'm black hat. And I'm out of here. So she also has a Charlotte body behind her.
Yeah.
That's active. So my thought is, it could be that there's two Dolores consciousnesses now, but my guess is that one of those other marbles, she just is like,
who are those other marbles?
I've got a body already. I just took myself out of that body.
I feel as if she hasn't really established any relationships at all.
Well, Abernathy, I would think her dad.
Right, I know, but not enough for that.
No, yeah, I'm just saying.
I know, I'm saying.
I was saying Abernathy probably.
Yeah, who else?
Yeah, who else? I don't think Teddy, because I think she left Teddy in the happy hunting grounds.
You're right, but if it's not Teddy, then who?
Yeah, you're right.
I guess it's possible they could be other characters that they'll establish how important they are later.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's unfortunate then if we don't see. I guess we could still see him the same way we were seeing Anthony Hopkins. But it's unfortunate if they don't bring him back the way that he was last season. He's a great character, and his end was good too. So.
Well, we could. So okay, I guess we've reached more. Oh, and then of course not the last shot, but the last shot more or less is Bernard walking through a door. The door. Out of his house.
Right.
He's kind of free for the first time, right? So he's in the real. He took the red pill, so he's out in the real world now. So season 3, I assume is going to have in the real world.
Oh, these are the theories now.
Bernard. Versus, yes, Bernard versus Dolores. Good versus evil.
Sure.
It's Professor X versus Magneto.
Yeah, why not? Malcolm X.
She's going to be
Martin Luther King.
She's going to be plotting violence against humans, and he's going to be trying to save them.
I guess
in some way. And right, meanwhile, the park goes on. They already have talked about, salvage what you can. Let's get this thing going again. Why anyone would go back to that park?
Now, yeah, right. Now, and then
pay us $100,000. Come enjoy the park where everyone just died.
It begs the question whether or not the information that went out went where it's supposed to go, or is it just they sent it someplace else too?
Right.
So the whole point of them is to get that information and then send it out. And
plus, most of Delos is dead now, or at least the higher ups. Strand's gone. Are they going to make it? Because they did have a book of Strand. Do they make a robot Strand and replace him?
Right.
And that's how things carried on. I don't know. But here's the thought I had. Hey, Internet. Obviously, we're not here at Dork Lord Studios. I noticed as I was editing today's recap that the video mysteriously crapped out when I was starting to give Season 3 theories. Coincidence? I think not. Anyway, Paul has vanished. Standing in for Paul, my trusty cat, Kittalore. Kittalore is obviously very impressed with my theories. Okay. Thank you, Kittalore. Appreciate the backup on this. All right, so just wanted to throw this out there. Obviously, we were talking about season 3, what it might hold. The producers of the show, the showrunners, confirmed that the post-credit scene, the Avengers-style post-credit scene involving William getting his fidelity test from Robot Emily, happens in the distant future. Okay, so the big question there is, who is bringing William back online, right? Now, maybe it's a William requested it on his deathbed, and this is just the millionth iteration of him trying to get back online. But perhaps a more interesting theory would be, okay, we've established that in the future you've got Black Hat versus White Hat, Dolores versus Bernard. Dolores trying to take out humanity, Bernard trying to save it. Okay, let's say in the distant future, Dolores has more or less won out. Humanity is on the retreat. The robots are taking over. And Bernard's desperate gambit to try to take out Dolores is to go back to the now defunct park and attempt to resurrect her greatest nemesis, the Man in Black. So it's Bernard that has decided to create a host version of William to combat Dolores. There's even a line there that Robot Emily says something like, oh, yes, here's the forge, or here's your world, or what's left of it. Because again, it's that idea that it's in the future, a dystopian future where humanity's on the run. And so Bernard has decided to bring, basically the enemy of my enemy is my friend. He's going to bring in Robot William to take on Dolores. That's my theory for season 3. So that'll be another time frame, right? This show loves to have different time frames. So you'll have a time frame kind of in the near future where Dolores and Bernard are squaring off and they're in the real world and someone's getting an edge, someone's not. And then you'll have a distant future version where Robot William comes out into a world that's just been decimated by robots, and he is in search of Dolores to try to get some victory back for humanity. That's my thought. All right. Anyway, thank you very much. Sorry for the odd, jarring change in scenery there. But subscribe if you want to get some notifications. Make some comments. This show's all about theories. So if you make some fun comments in the theories below, I will comment back. One thing, just another quick note that I had that I didn't mention to Paul, but was thinking about, is Westworld the only park where the hosts were going to get rescued? It kind of, there weren't like samurai lining up in that line of hosts to go to through the door, right? So it's like, what about those parks? Did they each have their own door? Kind of felt like they didn't. So it was just kind of this special gift reserved only for Westworld hosts. I don't know. Anyway, seems a little odd, but feel free to make comments about that in the comments as well. So next up, we're going to be talking about Luke Cage. We're going to take episodes 1 and 2. Paul and I will talk about that, and then we'll carry on through the rest of the season. And if you have any other suggestions for shows you'd like to see us cover, do that. We've had one comment asking for The Expanse. I may have to chat with Paul on that. He's a big Expanse fan. Maybe we'll be doing Expanse in the future as well. So anyway, thanks again. Bye, everybody. Thanks, Kidalore. Appreciate it. And we'll see you next time.